more than 25,000 barrels are leaking toxic chemicals into the ocean 12 miles from Los Angeles. Some estimate there could be as many as 500,000 barrels. They have been dumped between the 1940s and the 1970s. The toxic leaking from the barrels may have significant long-term impact on marine life and humans. But what can be done to stop the leaking of toxics? One main task is to decide what to do with the former dump site. Basically, there are three options: recover the barrels with the toxics, cover the barrels where they are, or just leave the barrels and hope the toxic will not leak. I will in this video illustrate some of the challenges with removal of the barrels, estimate how much time it may take to remove all the barrels. I will also illustrate why covering the barrels can be very complicated, and finally discuss what will happen if the barrels are just left as is. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and add a comment. So, first we need to understand that the barrels are found at an incredible depth of 3,000 feet. The barrels with toxics are clearly rusted and some have visual holes. I will now, with an experiment, demonstrate one of the challenges with the recovering. The experiment can easily be replicated at home. You should try. I have submerged a glass with salt water and fruit color into normal tap water. The salt makes the water inside the glass a little heavier than the tap water. I have made a series of holes in the top to simulate the holes in the barrels. When I start to lift the glass, we can see some of the red water leak out. In this experiment, it does not leak much. I anticipate it would be a lot worse if the holes were on the side of the glass. This is very much the same challenge they will face if the toxic barrels are attempted to be recovered. Toxic will most certainly leak out into the ocean. There is likely a need to invent a grab or something similar to capture the barrels to prevent leakage to recover the barrels safely. Let us try to assess how much time it will take in Los Angeles to recover all the barrels. First, an underwater robot needs to dive the incredible 3,000 feet. At an average speed of 300 feet per minute, this is 10 minutes. To capture the barrel will likely be 5 minutes if it goes well. Then, to avoid spillage, it will likely spend 20 minutes to resurface and probably 15 minutes to empty the load and get ready to dive again. That is 50 minutes per barrel. Let's assume they recover 30 barrels per day. Then it will be 833 days to recover all the barrels. I believe this calculation is on the optimistic side. Likely it will require much more time. The second option is to cover the barrels where they are located today. This has been an option considered by federal government in a different toxic dump site in Massachusetts. The illustration shows that in Massachusetts, they consider to sweep over the dump site while dumping soil on the barrels. Offshore Los Angeles, with many of those barrels corroding in salt water over decades, there are worries about the potential consequence of dumping massive amounts of clay, sand, gravel on top of them. They could leak from the initial pressure placed upon them as they are being covered. I have made another experiment on how the liquid inside the barrels could leak out if the soil is being dropped on the barrels. In this experiment, I have again used fruit color in a glass with salt water submerged into normal tap water. In this experiment, the glass is open, which simulates the barrels could break open. I then carefully drop soil on the side of the glass, and we can see that the red fluid leaks out. And when soil is dropped directly onto the glass, all the red color leaks out. I would imagine that such an operation offshore would have a high risk of leaking all the toxic into the ocean and just covering the empty barrels. The final option is to leave the barrels where they are today. and hope sediments will naturally cover the barrels. In the media, we can read that the barrels have been there since the 1970s. That means the picture we see in the news today is of a barrel that has been in place for 50 years. We don't see much sediment on the barrels, meaning that it likely will take hundreds of years for the sediment to build up and cover the barrels and prevent leaking. Either way, the more than 250,000 toxic barrels will be a big challenge. We can see in the media that some of the smartest engineers and Californians are working to find the best solution. I hope they will find a good solution soon, a solution that can prevent further toxics to leak into the ocean. Please add a comment and I will try to answer as good as I can. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching.